Dobrý den, výborně, to je moje kolegyně, která úplně skvěle rozumí bezpečnosti potravin z mikrobiologického pohledu. Sandra je z Francie. Včera jsme ji naučili pár českých slov, ale ta prezentace bude v angličtině, ale slajdy uvidíte v češtině. Tak, here we go, please.
Thank you very much. I'm going to just present you in English, and I hope that you will understand the key messages that I want to give you today. So let's start with the agenda of this presentation. So first, we are going to see that the food safety market is very dynamic and is a growing market. Everybody needs to eat, and finally it's a duty to control and to provide safe food to the consumer. Then we will see how we moved and how we are still moving from ISO standard to alternative method, and then I will bring you some highlights on the benefits of those certified alternative methods. So let's start with the food safety market and the drivers. Why we are testing? For sure, it's reason for the compliance. I say it's a duty of care, but it's linked as well to the regulation, the international one, but as well the local one, the national one that belongs to each country. And it's for providing the reason for testing. It's to provide information conform with the regulation and to protect the consumer and the brand. What we as well see as drivers, it's that we can see, and what are the trends. The cross-contamination of the food product are more and more present because and due to the complex of the processes that we can use in our industries. And there is as well all the regulation that change because of new risk, because of mutation, because of, there is a lot of reason, but the regulation need to adapt. And there is the availability as well of the advanced rapid method. So this is really all those drivers and the rising as well of outbreaks and recall and the consumer awareness that drive the food safety testing. So just a few numbers. Here you can see what is made of the food safety market. You can see clearly that pathogens are driving this market. This is in amount, in quantity, the biggest volume of analysis. Then we will find the GMO, pesticides, allergens, etc. But pathogens stay in food safety, the control number one. So if we look at now regarding what type of food is mostly tested, we have, let's say, the first area composed with meat, poultry, and seafood. This is the first group, and this is where we will find as well the most important amount of analysis. Then, for sure, go the processed food, fruit and vegetable, the dairy that are as well a good amount of analysis. I think that we can link as well the food safety testing to those pathogens, and there is 5 pathogens that are, let's say, concerned here. But if we just look at Salmonella, Listeria, Campylobacter, we have more, finally, than 50% of the volume of analysis. And we know that those pathogens, those 3 pathogens are involved in the outbreak. But we know as well that we are just able to smell and to identify and to count the top of the iceberg, and that much more things happened in the consumer house. Everybody don't go each time he feel bad or get a disorder, you know, in his stomach. And we don't know, but this is there. So I don't want to be neither in a drama, but we are really talking about health and about protecting the consumer. Here, just to keep in mind the biggest Listeria outbreak that we faced, it was in 2017 in South Africa. And you see that we have more than, in this case, 1,000 cases. It's huge. And more than this, the country faced 200, more than 200 deaths. And the country have been shocked. When I say shocked, it was really for them kind of awareness, why we are there. And the government and authorities took a lot of decision to change and to improve the food safety culture in all the industry. So just to remind you that we have, for sure, pathogens which are associated with some food type, and but we know as well that, for example, Salmonella, it concerns all type of foods. So now let's just have a look, on the food safety by technology. And this is, I think, very interesting as well, because here you see that rapid methods are clearly the preferred method now. So all the numbers are available on data report that you can access. But for sure, it just gives you here the trend. And you see that traditional cultural or traditional methods are less and less used in benefits to the rapid one. Into the rapid one, you will find the molecular testing, you will find the chromogenic culture media, you will find ELISA testing, etc. So now let's just go to this history. I think there is, it's more and more the trend that people, yes, ISO, it's the gold standard, but a lot of laboratories move, and even accredited one, move from this ISO standard to alternative one. Why? Simply because ISO method does not answer anymore to their needs, to the needs of the current supply chain requirement. So let's just keep in mind some wording that we are all agree. What is the reference method? A reference method is the gold standard. It's the ISO international method, and this is internationally recognized. And in comparison, you have the alternative method. Those methods are in fact our Salmonella preci, or short-tech Salmonella molecular assay, and this is proprietary method. But those methods can detect exactly the same analytes, etc., than the reference one. And generally, when they are certified, the performance in comparison to the ISO method is done. So you have no doubt about the performances of the alternative method. And we're going to see that everything, in fact, is linked. So here you just have a kind of little gray area, which can be, USDA, which is here, for example, definitely linked to a specificity of a country. And now let's have a look on the complete picture here, in between the standardization, the regulation, the validation, and the accreditation. So this is the three main approaches. And I think this is very important to keep this picture in mind. You have the standardization, the ISO, so that develops the reference method. And then you have the regulation that recognize those methods selecting to make the test in your company. But you need as well, when you select, for example, an alternative method and not the ISO one, you need to prove that this alternative method is as performant as the reference one. And in addition, if you need to provide accredited analysis, you will need to pass through a step of verification. The verification means that the lab select an alternative validated method. This method is completely performant as the reference, but the lab need to prove that is able to run correctly this alternative method. So the validation is really belonging to the method provider, and he will submit this method to an independent third party to evaluate his method. But the lab, if they want to integrate the alternative method or a reference method to provide accredited analysis, he will need to pass through the verification step. So keep in mind, and I will come back on those ISO norm, which is the ISO 16140, which describe the full protocol for validating a method. So if we come back now to our, let's say, microbiological regulation for foodstuff. So you have here, at the top of the pyramid, you have the European regulation for microbiological stuff. And in this regulation, it's clearly mentioned that the analytical method and sampling plans and methods should be applied as reference method. So it's clearly mentioned that you need to follow the reference method for controlling. But it's as well clearly mentioned that the use of alternative method is acceptable when the methods are validated against the reference method certified by a third party in accordance to the protocol mentioned in the ISO 16140. So this is the key, and this is, I would say, the fundamental, what we are using to evaluate our alternative method. So if I just want to give you a picture here, and I go fast. Yes, sorry. This is the story of the ISO 16140. It's a very long story. You see, from 2003, 20 years later, we are still there. But okay, it's almost completely done, okay? And what is very important, it's, as I mentioned, the part 2 and the part 3 of this regulation. So you see that the part 2 belongs to the manufacturers, the method developer, and the part 3 to the testing laboratories. So this is clearly how we can position the validation and the verification, which are in fact complementary steps, when we want to select and to implement a method into a lab. So the validation will show you and will prove all the performance characteristics against the reference method with a clear validation protocol which is recognized at the ISO level, and it's done by a third-part recognition. So this third-part recognition, who are they? We are talking about AFNOR, we are talking about Microval, we are talking about AOAC, USDA. These are the certification body. And as provider, we go to them, say, okay, please evaluate. And they use expert independent lab, which run in parallel both methods. And after, we have a validation report and a certificate proving that we have those performances in adequation. For the verification, this is really how to implement the method. It belongs really to the lab to compare and demonstrate that it can run correctly the alternative method selected. Okay, so I hope this is clear, and just to give you I think the best example why we move from ISO method to alternative one, it's because in fact you see here the ISO workflow. You need a pre-enrichment, you need to subculture, you need two different selective media. So this is long. This is time-consuming. From a technician time perspective, this is very consuming. And in terms of, let's say now we are looking at as well, all those questions of sustainability. What about, you know, all the dust, all the things? Here you have a lot of tubes, media, plates, little consumable plastic to streak the plate, etc. So this is really, I would say, old school. It was okay, recognized, but I think that it does not fit anymore to what you are searching in a lab. And so this is what we bring with the alternative method. We completely eliminate a lot of those steps. We eliminate a lot of reagent. We eliminate a lot of technician time. With still the performance of an ISO method. And sometimes, and more often, better than the ISO method performance. So keep in mind that this is very important. And now let's have a look on our two types of alternative method that we currently use for pathogen testing. We can have the chromogenic media methods, and here you see that you have just one enrichment step, one detection step, and one confirmation step, and you can obtain your confirmed result at day 2 or 3. With the molecular alternative method, the short-take method, once again, only one enrichment, the detection with the kit, and the confirmation. So this is clearly why we moved and why, as provider, we work on simplify the workflow of the method and what it means for you, in fact, what it brings to the lab, because I think this is clearly to bring much more agility to your way to test, because in fact the ISO method are conventional, but with a long time to result, and as well regarding, you know, the process of regularization is very long. And for example, today the Listeria ISO norm is under revision because there is an issue with the enrichment broth, with the half rather. And this is already in discussion since 2 years, and I think that we will need 1 year or 2 because a lot of labs are involved. But clearly, by selecting alternative method, you select a more accurate and robust results, which are more cost-effective, validated. You don't need to take care about, is it performant? Yes, it's proven. So I think this is really something that should be taken in account when you go for selecting a method in the lab. And for sure, you have a lot of challenge, and we come back always to the challenge of time to result, labor-intensive method, handling errors, matrix diversity, cross-contamination. So this is all the challenge that with selecting an alternative method, you are going to decrease a lot. So let's go back to our two method, the Précis, the chromogenic media, and the PCR media. But what is it very nice to see, in fact, that if you select the Précis or the short-take method, they are very flexible, in fact. This is a kind of perfect couple. You see, for example, for the Précis, you can confirm with the short-take, but generally speaking, you will prefer the latex. But perhaps you are using and you have a lot of positive to confirm to launch. A PCR will be more efficient than making a latex agglutination test. For the short-take, you detect with the molecular kit, and you can confirm with our plates, with our chromogenic media to confirm your PCR result. So this is very convenient, very flexible, and I identify a bit those two alternative methods like the perfect couple in the lab. You can face any type of situation. In fact, you will, for example, you have a big volume, a high throughput of sample, molecular testing will be the best solution. But imagine you forget there is an unexpected sample arriving 2 hours later. You already launch all your PCR, learn DNA extraction, and you don't want to just run it again just for fun. No need. You have the Preci. You can use the chromogenic media and just plate, and you will have with perhaps 1 day delay, but you are not stuck, and you give flexibility, agility. I think as well that these two methods, Preci and SureTech, this is a kind of no need to be stuck, and no need to say, okay, I'm not ready for the molecular, for example. It's too much complicated. I don't have today the technician skills to do it. Or I don't have the budget this year. But it's not the reason to stay with your ISO method. Start with the Preci method. And when you will start to implement molecular, the Preci, so inside the Preci method, you have the Brilliance, chromogenic Listeria or Salmonella agar. This Brilliance media will be still used in your lab for the confirmation of the SureTech. So it makes sense. And we thought about all those type of change, adaptation, unexpected context, crises, outbreaks. We saw it too much with COVID. We need to have this agility. So here, this is the focus on, as well, we are able to offer you the complete workflow from enrichment to confirmation. And it starts with convenience media and sample preparation. We have everything to simplify as well, those steps. We have, the bags that you see here. It's plug and play. No need to prepare. No need to spend time if you don't have it. When you have time, it's okay, but perhaps one day you won't have time anymore, and you will need to find some solution to optimize your lab workflow. And if we look at the SureTech solution itself, the molecular, once again, we selected here a workflow, and we worked on bringing a maximum of harmonization, ease of use. So here, for example, you will have always the same workflow for any of the parameters. Salmonella, Listeria, Chronobacter, Staph, it's always the same protocol. It's as well the same thermal profile. So it means that you can mix in one run the different parameters. 2 lines of Salmonella, 1 strip of Listeria, etc. So it will really, allows you to not spend time, to not wait, parameter after parameter. No, you can run everything in one time. We as well developed ready-to-use master mix. So all the master mix to run the PCR and all the lysis reagent are pre-dispensed. No need to pipette. You just need to pipette the sample to the tubes. We add as well a lot of color check. The plate itself, the PCR plate, are colored. You cannot mix a Salmonella PCR tube with a Listeria one. They are colored. That's very, I think it gives a lot of security to the lab in terms of limiting the handling's error. It happens very quick to be disturbed and, I'm where? In which well? Did I put this? When you are a colored reagent, you can see where you are. So this is, I think, the biggest benefits today on the market in terms of molecular workflow. I think we have really the simplest one and the more secure one in terms of cross-contamination, handling's error, etc. We decrease all those source of error. And for sure, this is validated. All our SureTech assays are AFNOR or IOIC or both or Microval. We are certified against the ISO method. And for some of them, Salmonella and Listeria, we get the OMA validation. The OMA validation is the highest level of certification, of validation that you can have, because we are evaluated our method on the most challenging matrices. For sure, when we test our method, we start with the common matrices. But when we are talking about chocolate, etc., those very fatty matrices as well, we know that it can bring some inhibition to some reaction. And here we push and we evaluate to demonstrate that even with those challenging matrices, our results are still performant. So here, this is the innovation, because perhaps some of you already know the system, the SureTech, but we implement a lot of improvement into the workflow in order to really simplify the life of the lab, secure the result, less and less space for errors. So we have a colored protein SK. You had a protein SK for the lysis, for the DNA extraction into the workflow, but it's very, now simple to see where you are when you put your protein SK. We change as well, the little cap that close the tube, the lysis tube. When you make the DNA extraction, you put your sample, you add it into the lysis tube, you add the protein SK, and you introduce it into a Simplium device to make the extraction. So before we used to have some caps, but after the Simplium run, and when you recover your sample with the DNA which is extracted inside the tube, and you open the cap, perhaps a spread of DNA is possible. So a spread of cross-contamination is possible. So here we say, okay, it was the voice of our customer. The caps perhaps could be improved. Okay, we change and we introduce a pierceable film. No need to open the lysis tube containing the DNA extract anymore. You just pipette by introducing the multi-channel pipette through the pierceable film, and you just need to transfer into the PCR tubes. So it gives a lot of security, and yes, I think this was something that all the customers were expecting. And the workflow with some tools to simplify. So for example, I was mentioning, I just have 4 Salmonella sample and 4 Listeria. I just need, in fact, 1 line on my PCR plate. I need to cut my PCR tube. I need 4 wells of Salmonella and 4 wells of Listeria. With the cutting tools, you will do it in a very simple way, and as well for opening, decapping, etc. If you want to stay on a former workflow, let's say, you can still have now some new tools which are very convenient. Okay, and one of my favorite new products that we launched, it's the Listeria Précis workflow. So we have 3 Précis method in our portfolio. Précis Salmonella, Précis Listeria, which is for species and L mono, and Précis Chronobacter. Here we have the simplest workflow of the market, the most secure as well, and I'm going to show you why shortly. But here you see on the bottom of the slide, you have the enrichment, the detection on the Brilliance Listeria media, and after a confirmation in 20 minutes. For Listeria SPP, it's unique. So it means that at day 2, with a cultural chromogenic media, you can have your negative screening, but as well your positive confirmed result. It gives, you save, if you compare to an ISO method, you save at least 3-4 days. But in addition, here it means that at day 2, so for example, at day 2, you read your plate. Negative, negative, positive, I need to confirm. And on the positive one, it means that 20 minutes after, you have your result. And you leave the lab without everything checked. And you can give the information to the production. Free the batch. you save 1 night of shipping. It impacts, in fact, not only your mental serenity. Okay, everything is done, confirmed for the day. I close the door and I'm happy. But it impacts as well all the department of the company, the shipping, the storage, etc. So here, when I said that we have the most secure workflow, is because all our Précis method, we only need 10 microliter of the enriched sample to be streaked on the Brilliance plate. And this is for all our Précis method. So it means that you don't need to pipette from the bag, take the other protocol are it's 100 microliter, which is required. So with 10, you just need to take single loop and to streak your plate. So you save around 1/3 of technician time. And in addition, you decrease a lot the source of possible cross-contamination. It makes really the difference. Look at as well regarding the temperature of incubation. For the enrichment, 37 degrees. For the detection step, incubation on the chromogenic plate, 37 as well. What it means? No need to have 2 different incubators set up at different temperature in the lab. You can have a big incubator and everybody will go inside. Salmonella, Listeria, Chronobacter. It changed as well how to streamline, how to optimize the space of the lab. And for example, it avoid as well the technician who, down, I incubate at 37 instead of 41.5. I select the bad incubator. It can happen. That for a reason or another, we are just human. So by introducing solutions that avoid or limit all this type of question, you secure more and more, you give comfort, ease of use to the technician, and security. This is so, here you see the picture of the Brilliance Listeria chromogenic media. And I think that what needs to be underlined and highlighted as well is that, for example, I was talking at the beginning about the Listeria ISO norm, okay? And that we have an issue. The norm is under revision because the ISO say, please enrich with half-brother. So since the last 5-6 years, we reported the ISO received a lot of alerts, of warning, a lot of issue with no recovery of Listeria with half-brother. So false negative, this is the worst that we can have. And so right now, the ISO group is revising. And our media, the 24 LEB, is one of the media which are going to be tested to replace the half-brother. So perhaps in 1 year, 24 LEB will be the official media of the norm for detecting Listeria and Listeria mono. So keep this in mind. A good detection, a good method starts with a good enrichment. Today, it's really identifies that half-brother is not performant enough to bring confident result for Listeria testing. And that's why we don't offer anymore half-brother in any of our Listeria method. But if you want to continue to follow ISO, it's your choice. But definitely, it's taking risk right now. And we know it. So this is for me very important to keep in mind. And as well, this 10 microliter, it's impactful in terms of cross-contamination reduction, in terms of all the, handling steps that you won't make. Pipetting means tips as well. So you have first the tips when you micropipette, the micropipette that can be contaminated. You put it on the plate. You take another device to streak on the plate. Here you just have a 10 micro single loop and down. Okay, I think this is really the key points, the key messages that I want to give you about those Précis method. And keep in mind that, okay, we have it for Listeria, but we have it for Salmonella, for Chronobacter, for Salmo and Chrono as well. We have enriched protocol for enrichment are harmonized. With one bag, the same bag, you can run Salmonella and Chronobacter. No need to duplicate the enrichment. So, as a conclusion, just want to give you some key messages. Why alternative method? Because I think that first, the workflow are definitively improved. Because it's streamlined, the lab organization at a lot of different levels. It can be, we talk about incubators, but we talk about reagent, plastic, consumable, waste, treatment, etc. Time, for sure, we saw that in comparison to ISO method, we reduce significantly the time to result. And there is no doubt about the performances. It's proven. All the validation reports are available. You want to see the RLOD, the sensitivity, the relative sensitivity of the method. You want to see all the tests of inclusivity, exclusivity. All the data are available on AFNOR website, Microbial website, AOSC website, or an on demand to us, and we will provide it to you. And why Thermo? I think that because I think you showed that we bring flexible and harmonized solution. We try each time to put our feet in yours and to say, okay, what could be more easy for a technician? What could make sense to change perhaps sometimes a little detail, but it impacts, we saw it, just by selecting 10 microliter instead of 100. And we are not selecting, in fact, 10 microliter. It's because our method is sensible enough to allow us to only take 10 microliters. The competitors for Listeria all takes 100 because the method is 10 times less sensitive. So all those things should give you, you know, some thoughts for selecting, for why I should select this method or this one, how it will impact my lab, my technician life as well. And yes, we have high quality and performances, and I think that for the media, Oxoid is well known since decades now because of our quality and the constancy of the quality. And because we bring more and more protocol which are easy to use. We have full technical support to be provided to you. Today you have your team, your Czech team, but I'm here as well, and behind me there is product manager, there is R&D team, which are more than expert to support you. And because your voice is our innovation, and I deeply believe, because when you will, and I hope that you will have a fully time to come and to see the system, we really simplified everything to bring you maximum of security by keeping and not dealing with performances of the result. Thank you. I'm open to any question. Yes.
Thank you, Sandra. Děkujeme moc za přednášku. Máme prostor pro dotazy. Já to vykopnu tady, ještě než jsme začali, tak v kulárech tady zazněly dva dotazy, jaké budu tlumočit. Nejdřív česky, potom anglicky. Ten první dotaz je, jestli je potřeba vlastně přípravu vzorku pro tenhle typ přístroje dělat v separátní místnosti nebo ve flowboxu. The question, Sandra, it's been circulating before in the audience before we started. Is it necessary to use the separate room or flow box for the sample prep for the SureTech solution?
No,
before?
It's not mandatory. You just need to have separate area. What we recommend is to have the sampling and the run of the PCR in another room, but you can clearly in one room run the complete workflow. You just need to separate and to have a kind of go in only one direction and never come back on the other area. So it's really, but yes, it's not mandatory to split or to have separate room. Just positive DNA area, negative DNA area, and well organized for the circulation in the lab. Yeah.
Tak já to jenom zhrnu v krátkosti, že není potřeba to řešení v separátní místnosti nebo pomocí toho flowboxu, že stačí udržovat v té místnosti dvě oblasti na ty pozitivní a negativní. A druhý dotaz, který tady cirkuloval, bylo to, jaké patogeny je možné vlastně stanovovat tímhletím systémem. What type of pathogens can be diagnosed with this system, please?
So in our SureTech portfolio, we have, I would say, the main pathogen that you will need. So Salmonella, Listeria, Campylobacter, Chronobacter, Staphylococcus, Vibrio, and we have as well some other, for example, Salmonella. We have Salmonella multiplex for Enteritidis, Antifimurium. We have as well now some kit for Salmonella for the quantification because it's linked to the regulation to US. So now they are going to evaluate, to quantify the amount. I forget perhaps one or two, but
You're the expert.
I think more or less I give you all the parameters.
Děkujeme moc, já asi nebudu opakovat ty latinské názvy, ty věřím, že se tady uchytili. Dávám ještě prostor pro další dotazy z publika, prosím.
And I just want to mention that with the QuantStudio 5, so here we are talking about the pathogen testing, but at the beginning I showed you that in the food safety, we have as well other things to be tested. For example, we can take GMO, and we have as well solution for GMO testing. You can run it on the QuantStudio 5. So the QuantStudio 5, just to let you know, this is really a thermocycler, which is an open system. For sure, it's you have all the software, etc., to run the SureTech, but you can run as well all our Rapid Finder kit for GMO. You can run all our Rapid Finder kit for animal species identification, for halal testing, for vegan testing. We are kit for all those other area of the food safety testing. So don't hesitate as well to ask the team the complete possibility, all that we can run onto the QuantStudio 5. And for example, you need to run allergen on molecular. Perhaps we don't have the test kit. We have ELISA test kit, not molecular one. But you can select from, this is an open system. You are not locked with our reagent.
Jenom zkrácený překlad, kromě těch patogenů je možné testování geneticky modifikovaných potravin nebo diferenciace typu potravin, jestli to je jako veganské nebo živočišného původu, nebo možnost testování o alergenů, že je to otevřený systém. Ještě zeptám, jestli jsou nějaké dotazy, prosím, z publika. Prosím. Já mám dát mikrofon, aby to slyšeli i lidi, kteří jsou v onlineu. Tak, pojďte na to.
Hello, thank you for the presentation. I wanted to ask, I assume there's a positive control in the PCR. Is it some specific strain, like some strain which is not expected to be in food or whatever?
So here, the positive control, so all our kit contain internal positive control. So in each well, you will have a positive control. So it will give you the certitude that if the internal control is amplified and if you have a positive, you are sure this is a positive. Here we are just making sure in the premix, in the master mix, that we have a specific target for the internal control, and it just need to get out from the test, and we just need to see it. So it's just a single specific target for all. And this is the same for all our kit. We don't change it.
Okay, I mean, this is the internal control,
Yeah.
which is usually used to see if the process is working.
Yeah,
I
this
mean,
is in
so you
each
use
well.
it for, like, as a positive control as well?
No, after you can use an additional positive control, which is a kind of sample, which you know it contains, etc., and you need to find it. So I would say that you should have a positive control, but what we show with our internal positive control is that each reaction, we check that in each well, each PCR reaction, we check that there is no inhibition. So it's really important. And if we compare with some other solution on the market, molecular one or in between, I just have in mind the LAMP solution without naming any nobody, but the LAMP solution does not include any internal positive control. So if the reaction have been inhibited in the tube, how to know it? And so you have a negative result, okay? You think it's a negative, but in fact not, it's positive, but the reaction does not work. If you don't have internal positive control, you are not God, and you are not in the tube. So it's really, I think, mandatory, and the regulation is as well changing. We see that there is more and more, for the molecular testing, more and more work about all the control, internal control, positive control, negative control. It will be more and more, yes, we are going to focus more and more on those parts of the method because it's key. If you are not able to prove that there is no inhibition in each of your reaction, I will be not comfortable to run PCR without internal positive control. Really. For me, this is now mandatory. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Děkujeme za dotazy. Odpověď. Další dotaz, prosím, z publika. Pokud je to všechno, děkujeme. V onlineu taky nemáme žádné dotazy. Merci beaucoup, Sandra. A my přepneme na dalšího přednášejícího, prosím.
Thank you. Thank you.